Oh man, this is going to be just gonna be another one of those drafts, isn't it? This has every potential to be one of those drafts because there's so many names that are hovering around the 11 spot. There's so many names that could fall to us, but also could not fall to us. Do we trade? What do we do at this pick? One big name that has most Knicks fans very excited is the possibility of a Dyson Daniels. But the problem is where he was once looked at being picked, late lottery after his phenomenal combine. The boy jumped up just a little bit, didn't he? And now I think he's going to be out of the range. So for that purpose, I don't think I'm going to mention him in this video. But who are some of the guys that we could look at possibly falling at the 11th pick? If we don't move, if there's no trades made, who are some of the guys that the Knicks could and should be looking at the 11th pick? Now, I'm not saying that these are all in stone. I'm just saying that there's reasons around some of these names. Is there a possibility that Bennedict Mathurin can fall down? Is going with the center like Jalen Duren the right option at the 11th pick? Will Jeremy Sochan's high-level defense and in my opinion, high IQ, and to me, I feel like he's born and bred for the Garden and the energy that the Garden brings. There's so many names that could possibly be there at 11. So before we talk about trades and stuff like that, we'll save that for another video. In this video, let's talk about the guys that could possibly fall and land to us at that 11 if things get shifted around in the draft, and why we should look at some of these names right here. There's a lot of names, a lot of people we got to go through, but we're going to start with these four right here. Let's get into the video. Run the intro. What's going on, CK Crew? It's your boy CK2K, and welcome back to another video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Do not forget to like this video, guys. I appreciate you guys coming through and subscribing to the other channels. Subscribing to CK. A lot of you guys actually were going through. The channel's on its way to 3,500 subscribers. So I appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe over there. The live streams are dope, man. Last stream we was out there playing that new Switch Sports. That game is fire, and we were talking about the Knicks. We had a lot of conversation over about the Knicks. I'm telling you, there's a lot of impromptu rants about the Knicks over there, so you better go and subscribe. We will be streaming tonight. We stream every Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday over there. Go check out the other channel, CK. All right, go show love. So the lottery has come and gone. It is a festivity that we overhype every single damn NBA season. Like, why does something like this need to be a full half an hour event where we have interviews with the like, it to me is just wild. But I mean, TV is TV. You gotta do the things that look good. I get it, but I don't get it. And going into this thing, like I had mentioned, we had what is like a 77 or some crazy percentage chance that we were going to stay put at the 11th spot, and then like a 2% chance that we move into the top 4, and then there was another chance that we'd even move back to get the 12th pick. All kinds of maths being thrown all over the place to further the narrative that we would hopefully finally jump up in a draft for the first time in God knows how long. Even last time when we were supposed to have a high pick, that's when the NBA first changed the rule and we fell back 2 picks to the 3rd pick, which landed us none other than the God himself, RJ Barrett. So now that everyone has got the complaining out of the way, it is what it is. We are at the 11th pick, and there are a lot of avenues that we can take with this pick. The main avenue is picking at 11, and there are some names that we should be excited about that could either fall or that could land right in our laps at the 11th pick. There's a lot of good names. In the last video, we talked about trade scenarios, free agency scenarios, and we briefly touched on what we should do when the draft comes. But in this video, I want to talk a lot more about who we should be looking at the 11th pick, because now we know for sure where we land. We now know what the lottery is looking like, and with us at 11, there's all kinds of mock drafts and all kinds of people putting different names in the Knicks uniform, from Johnny Davis falling down to us to Jalen Duren falling to us with the situation with Mitchell Robinson, Bennedict Mathurin. A lot of people think that he could possibly make it down to 11. Jeremy Sochan. There's a lot of names, and to be honest with you, all those names that I just gave to you guys are all great options for us at the 11th pick. And there's some that I haven't even mentioned, like Tari Eason, like that had a phenomenal offensive year. There's a lot that we can do at the 11th pick, but let's talk about the realistic options for right now. We'll do deeper dives in some other names that can make their way up, that can rise, that can fall, but let's talk about the realistic options. And I think I've squared it down to these 4 names that could realistically fall to us at 11 or realistically be available for us at 11. And that is Johnny Davis, a scoring wing. Can never have too many of those. Has that leadership ability. We have Johnny Davis that could be available for us. Bennedict Mathurin, the combo guard, mainly a point guard, but he's probably going to be a combo guard in today's NBA game. Love what he did at Arizona. Guy can be a great piece for us, and I think that he's somebody that Knicks should be looking at. And then the one that is surprisingly pissing off a lot of people, to me, it makes a lot of sense in Jalen Duren. I love what Jalen Duren does for this team. People are trying to manufacture something that's not there as far as, you know, other things, but the guy is a overall talent and somebody that is an amoeba at that center position. And then there's Jeremy Sochan, a guy that I really like for his energy, defensive ability, and I just feel like there's just so much to his game that can potentially improve as his time goes on. So those are the 4 names I'm looking at right now at the 11th pick, and let's talk about each and every one of them. Now, I will start by saying this. To me, of those names, my favorite is a combination between Johnny Davis and probably Bennedict Mathurin, just for the strict fit and need for what the Knicks team is right now. I feel like Bennedict Mathurin at 6'7", playing that 2. I feel like he's a guy that could play 1 through 3 for this team. We need guys like that because we do have a lot of wing options on the Knicks right now. So if we can get a wing option that can play any of those positions from the 1 to the 3 position and also guard 1 through the 3 and also be able to score at a high level, I think that that's definitely the best pick for us. I do feel like, you know, in a draft like this, you do want to lean more towards a wing position or, you know, guard if the right point guard is available. But definitely in a draft like this where there's a lot of wings available, you do want to draft the wing option. So then when I look at guys like Johnny Davis, Bennedict Mathurin, and you could even throw Jeremy Sochan in there, to me, I would, I think he'd play more of that 4 position. So I was gonna put him and Jalen Duren in their own conversation. But yeah, that wing position is definitely something that we need. I understand that you guys will be thinking like, where are they gonna play, especially with Tom Thibodeau as head coach, because we're still gonna have guys like Alec Burks, we're still gonna have Evan Fournier under contract, and then on top of that, the Quentin Grimes of the world, Cam Reddishes of the world, RJ Barrett. Like, where the hell are these guys going to fit? And that is a very good question. But the thing is, you cannot draft for the right now. You need to be drafting and loading up for the long term. Now, I understand that that is a very weird concept with the way that our team has been going with who our head coach is. But if you ask what I'm doing in the draft, I'm making sure I'm getting the best pieces and best players to build around this team for not just today and not just for this year, but for the long term. Is Cam Reddish a long-term option? Should he be? Yes. But is Cam Reddish a long-term option? I'm not sure about that. Alec Burks, Evan Fournier, these guys to me do not look like the long-term option. You could make the argument about Quentin Grimes and RJ Barrett. Sure, they might be here long-term, but then what? Can we get a Johnny Davis that showed that he is a offensive juggernaut and does have the ability to become something of a problem defensively, and I mean that in a good way, for this team, and then maybe he can be a part of this run for us long term. Like, there's so many possibilities, and you cannot pass up on these guys. So yes, there's a logjam, but there's a lot of things that are going to be coming. A lot of decisions need to be made in free agency, possibly in this draft, as far as who we're going to keep and who we might need to move. So you got to make sure that you draft the guy that can help out this team, and we can make those decisions later. And there's even the possibility that we even trade this pick. So yeah, I'm looking at those guys. Bennedict Mathurin. We're gonna do proper breakdowns of each player at each position as the offseason goes on. But right now, I'm just strictly looking at the guys right now that I'm looking at pick 11 that I would like to see the Knicks draft. And I think going a wing would be great. My favorite is definitely Johnny Davis. I don't care if that's a vanilla answer. I just like what Johnny Davis brought for that team last year in Wisconsin. And I feel like that is something that we could build around. It could potentially be a fun combination of him and RJ Barrett long term if the Knicks do in fact decide to not go with a guy like Cam Reddish. I think Johnny Davis could be, he has that same kind of, attitude, that same kind of dog that RJ Barrett has. And if you have two guys like that as your wings, that could be something to, be happy to build around for sure. So that's the guard position. And I know I didn't go in enough. Like I said, I'm going to go into more depth about these guys later on, but those are the guys at the wing that I'm looking at the 11th pick that could possibly fall down to us. There's so many other guys that can make it down to us. There's a possibility that Dyson Daniels falls. There's a possibility that Tari Eason jumps up. There's so many names that we're going to get into that as the offseason goes on. But right now, those are the 4 names we're looking at. We talked about the wing, but let's talk about the big, because like I said, there's a conversation right now where people are believing that it would make no sense for us to draft a big at the 11th pick. And I understand that in other drafts, but when you're talking about guys like Jalen Duren and Mark Williams, I'm okay making that pick, especially in a time where, Mitchell Robinson most likely is going to walk to get a bigger bag. I mean, unless the Knicks go forward and decide to throw all the money at him, which I really do not expect the Knicks to do, Mitchell Robinson is probably going to go to a team that is ready to pay him right now. We hear the conversation and the murmurs about the Detroit Pistons. We don't know what the Mavericks are ultimately going to do around Jalen Brunson, so they might throw a bag over at Mitchell Robinson where they can, whenever they try to make some kind of money. Like, there's all kinds of other options for Mitchell Robinson, and we got to make sure we put ourselves in a position to continue at that position. Now, when you think of Tom Thibodeau and you think of the center position, you think of just a guy that can protect the rim, and that's all he really needs. He just needs a guy that's just there and isn't really a big part of the offense. But when I look at a guy, mainly Jalen Duren, I like Mark Williams. I feel like Mark Williams is just a safer defensive option. But I look at a guy like Jalen Duren, and I think of the type of big man amoeba that Bam Adebayo is. I think that could be a do-it-all big for us that ends up being, that you don't see too much of in the league. I'm not saying to a Chet Holmgren, to Evan Mobley status, something like that, but to that Bam Adebayo status where there could be games where you see him getting triple doubles, or you can see him getting, 15 12s and like threes in 3 blocks a game and stuff like that. I definitely think that is the kind of guy that Jalen Duren could be for this team, and you don't pass that up. You just don't pass that up, especially if that is a need for your team. He has the talent there that you can do that with. So I like Jalen Duren. There's a lot of other things that are, question marks and red flags. People are worried about, between the ears and the attitude and this, that, and the third. But man, I like his energy. I like what he could be, and I think that would be a solid pick for us if other names that are available on our list end up going before him. So I'm looking at Jalen Duren definitely for a place that we need. And I know that you guys could say we just draft the wing, we can just sign a big in free agency, but a lot of these bigs that are going to be available are going to be vanilla bigs. And I understand who our coach is. I'm talking to you guys in a sense of improving my Knicks team, regardless of what our coach is going to do and stuff like that, because I know the situation. Whoever we draft here most likely is going to be riding the bench, but I'm looking at it from a perspective of somebody who actually wants to see the team improve. What is then done with the team, that is a coaching thing that we can talk about another time. But for me, I'm talking about improving my basketball team the way that I think will help our team out. The rest is, that's out of my hands. And then a guy like Jeremy Sochan. Now, a lot of people are really excited about this guy. I could definitely see him jumping up in the draft as far as moving up just like a spot or two. Spurs, Wizards, hell, Pelican. Like, I can see this guy jumping up in this draft because he is a high energy type of guy. He is definitely a dog when it comes to that position. I like what he does for us. My only fear with him is where he fits. I know we talked about other wings, but we can figure out the wings. He's in a position where you have an all-star ahead of him, and then we also have an upcoming star in Obi Toppin. Well, in our eyes, an upcoming star, but we don't know what Tom Thibodeau is going to do with them. So then where does Jeremy Sochan fit? Now, he can play some of that wing position, and if that's the route we go, then perfect. Then we're clear on that. We'll be fine. But my worry is just then how he's going to be utilized. Is he ultimately going to be able to utilize what he did so well at a college level in the pros? Now, mind you, like like I say all the time, I'm not a fan of how this Knicks team is built, so it really makes this draft hard. I feel like we got the wrong free agents last year. I feel like we don't have guys that really fit the young talent that we have, and you have to worry about, building around that because, Tom Thibodeau is going to play rada. But a guy like Jeremy Sochan, energy-wise, and what he can bring for us defensively, and how his offensive game is improving, I like him a lot for this team. We'll worry about the minutes part after the fact, but the fit and what he could do. Imagine this dude in the Garden. Like, the guy would be a lot of fun for this team, but we'd have to see where he ends up fitting rotationally long-term, especially with Tom Thibodeau. So, yeah, those are the 4 main names for me in order for right now on this date, May 18th. May 18th. My order would be Johnny Davis, Bennedict Mathurin, Jalen Duren, and then Jeremy Sochan. Those are my order of want right now on this date, before we see any more footage, before we see any more combine tape, before we see who might be falling and rising. That's who I'm looking at right now. But who's yours? Who are you guys looking at the Knicks picking at the 11th pick? Who do you guys believe would be a good option? Do the Knicks trade up? That is a possibility. If someone falls like a Jaden Ivey, because if you look at those top teams, Jaden Ivey necessarily doesn't. None of those teams really necessarily need Jaden Ivey. There's a possibility that the Kings will draft him anyways, because we know that's what the Kings love to do. But there's a possibility that Jaden Ivey can fall down to that 6th spot. And if you look at those top teams, I feel like the Knicks have a possibility and can make a package with teams from 6 on down to 10. I think that the Knicks can possibly snag those picks. 1 through 5, I don't think that there's going to be we can make a package good enough to trade with any of them. I think they are going to want to keep their pick. But 6 on down, I think that we have a possibility. And if Jaden Ivey falls, I think the Knicks should pull a New Orleans Saints and put up a good package to make sure we can secure that 6th pick and possibly Jaden Ivey if he falls down. Will he fall? Most likely not, but there is a possibility because of the teams ahead of him. We saw it in the drafts in the past, and I think this is something that could happen this year as well. So if it happens, will the Knicks be aggressive? I think they should. What's your thoughts about the 11th pick when you initially saw that we were drafting 11th? Are your thoughts that you want to see that pick traded up? Do you want to see it traded away? Or do you have names that you're looking at the 11th pick? It is that time of the year where you guys throw me names that you want to see me look up if you think I possibly have never heard of them, because we also have the 42nd pick, and we know that we love to have fun with that 2nd round pick, especially with these past few years. So let me know some names I should be looking at, who you want in the 11th pick, should we trade up? Let me know all that stuff in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Do not forget to like this video, subscribe to my other channel, CK. We are live streaming every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so I hope to see you guys there tonight, and we'll talk more about this over there. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys. It's been your boy CK. Let's get it. As I always say at this point of the video, I've said my piece. Now I gotta hear y'all. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Catch you guys in the next video. Bars, I'm out of here. Peace.
Cold pizza Tuesday.